Hello everyone, Soberoni of G&A Reviews here, and Valentine's Day is almost upon us, so you know what that means. Time for Star Wars memes!
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Today we're going to be taking a look at the galaxy's most head-patable Sith Lord, mysterious Heroine X Alter. We'll be examining her stats and skills, as well as going over pointers on how to utilize her effectively, and an overall grade comparing her to how she stacks up to the other 5-star servants. Now, onto MHX's stats. MHX Alter has a max HP of 14,175 and a max attack of 11,113, which becomes 12,224 when taking her class modifier into account. Her HP is impressive for a Berserker, second only to Nightingale, while her attack on the other hand is near the bottom of all 5-star Berserkers, again second only to Nightingale. Compared to all other 5-star servants, she does have decently high HP, while her attack is just a little below average. Taking a look at her skills, her first skill is Black Anko, rank EX. It increases her HP recovery amount for 3 turns between 20 and 50%, and restores between 1000 and 2000 HP, both depending on level. Her second skill is Intuition rank C, which grants between 4 and 14 crit stars depending on level, and this is upgraded through an interlude into Instant Shadowless Blade rank C+. This will increase your quick card effectiveness for 3 turns between 20 and 30% and grant you between 10 and 20 crit stars, both depending on level. And finally, her last skill is Invisible Hand of the King rank C. It decreases the critical star gather rate of a single ally by 100% for 1 turn, and it increases the attack of all allies for 3 turns between 10 and 20% depending on level. Taking a look at her passives, she has Madness Enhancement rank C, which increases her buster card effectiveness by 6%, and Ultra Reactor rank A, which increases her debuff resist by 20%. Taking a look at her deck and Noble Phantasm, MHX Alter has a Quick Buster deck with Quick Arts Buster, and a Quick Noble Phantasm. Her Noble Phantasm Cross Caliber deals significant damage to a single enemy with between a 1200% and 2000% damage modifier depending on level, and it deals additional bonus damage to Saber class servants with between a 150% and 200% damage modifier depending on overcharge. Taking a closer look at her cards, we see that her Quick card hits 3 times, her Arts card hits twice, her Buster card hits 4 times, and her Extra attack hits 5 times. She has an NP gain rate of 1.07% and a star rate of 5%. This translates into very good Noble Phantasm gain and star generating, especially for a Berserker because of her high hit counts and quick leaning deck. Putting these Star Wars memes aside for a second, Mysterious Heroine X Alter is a surprisingly versatile and complex servant, especially considering her class. Her stats do lean more toward the Nightingale side of the Berserker spectrum rather than the Kentoki side, and this shows through her slightly more defensive and utility-based skill set. Her first skill, Black Anko, both heals Mysterious Heroine X Alter and increases her healing by up to 50% for 3 turns. While this may seem like a straightforward heal, there is a bit of nuance that makes it very versatile. For one thing, the recovery buff activates before the heal, so at rank 10, you're going to be healing for 3,000, not 2,000. The cooldown is also very short, so you're not only going to have a low cooldown 3,000 HP heal, but for most of the battle you're going to gain an extra 50% recovery from all healing, and that makes Mysterious Heroine X Alter's compatibility with healers like Hans or Media Lily very high. Invisible Hand of the King, Alter's third skill, is her most unique and interesting. First, it's a charisma, and prior to her interlude, this is going to be her only damage buff. But more importantly, this skill has the effect of making one of your allies' star weight 0, effectively hindering one ally from gathering crit stars for a whole turn. As a Berserker, Mysterious Heroine X Alter has incredibly low star weight to begin with, so this skill actually functions as some kind of weird crit support skill, whereby you can ensure that one servant on your team gets nearly all the crit stars available. And this can set up some crazy combos and removes a lot of the RNG from crit teams. Finally, MHX Alter's last skill has 2 variations. Pre-interlude MHX Alter has Intuition, which is fitting seeing as how she's a Darth Maul reference and Intuition is pretty much the Phantom Menace of skills, and post-interlude this skill receives a massive upgrade On top of providing more stars, it also grants MHX Alter a short cooldown quick buff that drastically improves her damage. In either case though, I do suggest using this skill in combination with the Invisible Hand of the King to easily set up crits for another servant. Pre-interlude, you should level up Hand of the King first for the damage, followed by your heal, and then finally Intuition. But post-interlude, you're going to want to focus Shadowless Blade first, followed by Invisible Hand, and then finally Black Anko. MHX Ultra's Noble Phantasm is a straightforward single target Noble Phantasm that deals really high damage. This Noble Phantasm has a bonus against sabers, which actually comes into play pretty often because she does have class advantage against them. MHX Ultra will absolutely melt sabers, especially once she gets her quick buff. Her Noble Phantasm also has a lot of hits, so it does provide a good chunk of crit stars and Noble Phantasm charge as well. Despite having more defensive stats with her high HP and low attack, MHX Alter is a considerable offensive threat. Even prior to her interlude, she is one of the best servants you can possibly bring along to face any saber in the game, and she packs surprisingly good utility with a charisma and a unique way of providing crit support. By locking an ally out of gathering crit stars and using her own intuition skill, you can very effectively and reliably set up anyone on your team on any given turn to have a crit brave chain. This works phenomenally for servants who love the crit but lack a crit gathering skill like Karna. She also has some decent sticking power because of her heal and higher than normal HP. Of course, pre-interlude MHX Alter does suffer from low damage considering her class. Outside of fighting sabers, she's not going to hit as hard as the other berserkers. Thankfully, post-interlude she gains an extremely valuable tool in Shadowless Blade, which drastically boosts her offensive potential as well as her utility, by bolstering her star generating and NP gain from quick cards. Shadowless Blade is a massive buff that really does make her excel much more at all aspects of her game, both as a crit support and as a boss killer. But even that skill doesn't cover up all of her faults. For one thing, heals aren't as effective on berserkers because they take additional damage from everyone. That means MHX Alter is still very vulnerable despite her heal. And without any hard survival like guts or invincibility or evade, she's highly prone to being focused down and killed very quickly. Also, despite the massive buff from Shadowless Blade, her damage against non-saber enemies is still subpar compared to other berserkers because of her deck and low attack. Thanks to these things, MHX Alter is really reliant on a strong team to maximize her efficiency, which does limit her potential. Since we're on the topic, let's talk team comp. Even though MHX Alter is a berserker, she can play a very strong role as a crit star support on quick or buster teams, as well as a full-on offensive boss rusher. As a crit support, she can provide a steady stream of stars from her skills and quick cards, while also directing the flow of the stars with her third skill. And this is fantastic for servants like Karna, Billy the Kid, and Skahawk. Both Karna and Billy the Kid have devastatingly strong crit buffs, but they lack any means of star gathering. So MHX Alter is perfect for fetching stars for them and setting them up to deal very high burst damage in one turn. Skahawk isn't as much of a traditional crit servant, but she does have an RNG based crit buff and star absorb. In the rare case that Skahawk misses her star absorb but lands her crit buff, MHX Alter can help her out. But more importantly, MHX Alter provides a means of giving Skahawk high burst damage outside of her Noble Phantasm for a turn, by setting up some devastating crit brave chains. The same can be said for pretty much any other quick crit servant like Okita or Caesar. In fact, MHX Alter just has fantastic synergy specifically with crit quick teams because of her deck. Also, Skahawk can buff MHX Alter's NP damage tremendously with Primordial Rune. Speaking of which, if you are using MHX Alter offensively, then she needs a support that can provide healing, hard defense, and steady attack buffs. Nero Bride, Iris Fiel, and Jean are perfect for this. Nero Bride may not be able to provide any hard defense, but her strong attack buff and heal do synergize perfectly with MHX Alter's skill set. Also, her Noble Phantasm gain buff is great because for the most part all of MHX Alter's damage is coming from her Noble Phantasm. Iris Veil and Jean both provide supreme coverage for MHX Alter, defensively speaking. Both of them grant her hard defense in the form of Guts or Invincibility respectively, and both of them are strong healers that can take advantage of MHX Alter's Black Onco skill. MHX Alter's Bondcraft Essence is Black Nightkun. It increases damage against sabers by 20% for all allies. This is fantastic in an archer team, but other than that, it's not really worth taking in most cases. Instead, you're going to want to take CEs that either bolster your Noble Phantasm damage, your NP gain, or your star generating if you're going the support route. For offense, I recommend using Cute Orangeette, Dumplings Over Flowers, Golden Sumo, or Black Grail. Cute Orangeette enables some serious NP spam, making it good for longer battles, while Dumplings Over Flowers and Golden Sumo are good for more consistent and steady damage. Black Grail will give you the highest burst damage possible, but it's very high risk, high reward, so be careful. In a support role, you can use 2030, Imaginary Around, Dangerous Beast, or Fox Knight's Dream. Imaginary Around works if you want some serious damage while doing some more star generating, 2030 if you want to focus more on just pure star generating, Dangerous Beast is a good in-between solution, and Fox Knight's Dream is great if you're fighting against sabers. For a bit of future proofing, I also suggest Imperial Capital Holy Grail. This is great for some all-around damage and NP gain, while Seaside Luxury is ideal for star generating. Overall, MHX Alter is a versatile and unique servant. She packs good damage with her high utility. She's one of the best anti-saber tools you can have, especially if you get her Bondcraft Essence. She enables much more consistency in crit teams, and she packs good synergy with some of the best supports in the game, making her a lot easier to keep alive than most Berserkers. On the other hand, she does suffer tremendously in damage output pre-interlude, and even post-interlude she just doesn't match up as much to the other 5-star Berserkers. Her star manipulation skill is more of a niche than a game changer, so your mileage may vary, and even though she does have high HP and healing synergy, she's still fragile without the support because of her lack of hard defense. So overall, pre-interlude MHX Alter gets a C+ from me. She does have some fun situational usage and can deal big damage in the right battles, but she just suffers from consistency and damage issues. Thankfully, her buff does go a long way toward improving her damage, her star generating, her NP gain, and her overall consistency. So she jumps to a B+ post-interlude. The only thing holding her back from that Elite A ranking is really just her frailty and her still somewhat niche usage and lower damage. And those are my thoughts on MHX Alter, but of course, we all know the real reason to roll for her is because she is the closest we're ever going to get to a Star Wars collaboration. As always, let me know what you think, and if you plan on joining the dark side by taking MHX Alter as your Sith apprentice in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. Join the party over our Discord, chill with us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter. And I'll see you all in the next Servant Spotlight. Soberoni out. Later.